Oh, already people in here. Hey, I don't know if you guys can hear us. I got my water. Ella's got me working like crazy today.
I have a little Coke,
You have a little Coke?
a little mini Coke.
That's the right way to start this.
Yeah.
That's the right way to
I
start
needed
this.
some kind of little treat.
Hey, Mark, Thomas, Jacoby. Good start to the day. You can hear or can't? You can hear me, right, Ella?
I can hear you.
I was so proud of whenever I set up my live stream set up like a long time ago, where not a long time ago, well, 11 months ago. I was just telling Ella that it's like I 11 months ago to the day today was the exact time that I decided to go full on in this journey, and by coincidence, and it happened to be Friday the 13th, and it was October 13th, a Friday, and by complete coincidence, it was not chosen. It was just by complete coincidence that today would be the day that it's 11 months to the day. So we're so
Such a lucky
excited.
day.
Yeah, I consider it a lucky day, October the Friday the 13th. Hey,
Hmm.
Entity. Hey, Chad. Hey, Liv. So we're gonna be working here today. Ella, you can tell them what we're up to today, and
Yeah. So we have decided that, we work so much and we do so many cool things throughout the day that we just like want to showcase. And so we named this Flex Destiny Chasing Your Destiny because, Chris and I are going after our fate and trying to, be successful and all that we do. And so we thought that we would just bring you guys on the journey of that. And we've got kind of a different setup today. We're going to be going for at least 3 hours, and just we're going to be working. We're going to be answering questions. We're going to be hanging out with you guys in the chat. Chris is going to be doing drawing. I'm going to be writing. So we're going to be, kind of going back and forth, doing that. And yeah, we're just kind of we're going to experiment with this. Is this the first time that Chris and I together have done a longer live? Chris has done many long lives, but I feel like that's almost easier by yourself than it is with a co-host. I don't know. You'll have to tell me.
well, it was those long ones that were like 3 hours, 4 hours long. No,
Mhm.
and some of them went 5 hours. We used to go from like 9 p.m. to like 2 in the morning or something, right? Like these were long
Yeah.
streams, and we used to have a great time. But it was different because back then we would do we would play all sorts. I'd play music, and that was before there was like copyright restrictions on streams, and
Yeah.
so we would play the music and we would do like karaoke while I
Mhm.
was working on drawing at the same time. So obviously times have changed, so we have to rely a lot
Right.
on like this stuff now. But anyways, I'm going to be working on the next webcomic page that goes up today, um, and for our patrons first, but you guys can see it in process. And
Yeah.
we're just gonna be working, and we have a couple things along the way along this period, and we're just gonna chill and hang out with you guys on a Friday so you can see what we're up to.
Yeah, we're going to do a couple of things. So, a couple of fun things at the end if you stick through the whole thing, we or you leave and you come back. At the very end, we're going to be looking at some fan art. So that will be fun. That will be kind of how we close out today. Later, 3 hours from now, our hair will be all messed up and it'll be like the end of our shift, and we'll look at some fan art. And then anytime, so this stream is dedicated sort of to Patreon and to telling people about the cool stuff we have on our Patreon. So if you uh join our Patreon or you upgrade your Patreon and we see it and you let us know in the chat, we're gonna take some time and do like a fun little sketch request. So if you haven't joined our Patreon and want to and have been looking for a reason to, now's your time. If you are looking for a reason to upgrade your Patreon, now's the time too, because we have so many cool things going out, especially the graphic novel. And yeah, thank you guys for joining us on this Friday, and we're just gonna be having fun. And please don't feel any pressure to hang out the full 3 hours, but we would love to if you do. we're going to be getting into some goofy stuff. And so this first hour, Chris is going to be working on the graphic novel. And if you have any art questions or any writing questions, now's your chance. In the next couple of hours, we're going to be doing some different questions. So if you have anything that you want to get answered about art, now is your chance. And yeah, we're off to the races. We're already 5 minutes into our first hour. How do you feel, Chris? Are you burnt out?
I feel good. I feel good. For you guys who want to see a little preview of what happens on the next page, this is kind of what's happening. I don't know if I should tell them or let them figure out. I guess they can kind of figure out what's happening based on this. So I think I'll just let you guys, I'm not going to spoil it, so I'll let you guys, you can kind of figure from seeing the images. But I'm just going to be busy here trying to get this right before I start cleaning it up and finishing it out.
Mm-hmm. Do you find, because you've kind of changed your style because of this manga, did you find it difficult to change styles?
No, I think I was looking for a reason to change the styles, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I've been wanting to like, for a long time to make it a little more mature, just a little more. And this gave me the excuse when doing manga style to kind of make it a little more, now that we're going full story mode now, and we've got all these stories coming out, and the graphic novel being really important to telling the stories of what's happening to these characters. It was a good time,
Yeah.
I think we should tell them a bit about what the graphic novels are going to be doing.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. So for those of you who have been keeping up with the graphic novel, the sort of process, it starts off in Patreon, right? And then it goes to like our public spaces, which are like Twitter and Webtoons and that kind of stuff. This particular graphic novel is just sort of a warm-up one. It's a little bit of like, it's like a prequel to the prequel. It is a canon story, but it is one that is a little bit out of order. What we're going to be doing, and this is a bit of a surprise, but something that we're going to be doing is we're going to be making more graphic novels, but they're going to be telling the story of Hugo and Marco's relationship and other characters' relationships before the start of the mainline series. So obviously we know that you guys are so excited for the story to start, and we're like excited to announce that the story is starting. We're actually doing it first though. We're expanding the story. We're doing Flux Destiny in graphic novel style for a little bit first, and then we're going to be putting it more into a bookish form later with the events that Chris has sort of been teasing for a little bit. So we're starting really like at the very beginning of not Flux Destiny as a whole, but of Marco and Hugo's journey together. And most of the graphic novels will feature them and their sort of journey. But there's a lot that goes into their relationship before we get to the main story. And so we're going to be going back to the very beginning and how they met and their friendship, and sort of how they learned Karmistry to begin with, and sort of all of the events that lead up to them going to Wolfgang. And so there's a lot that happens that's actually very important. And so we decided, instead of like teasing it or doing a prequel book later, we're actually going to just start right now. We're just going to start with the graphic novel and tell the story from the start. So this particular graphic novel that Chris is working on is actually novel like 17 or something in the series, and so it's a little bit out of order to start, but then we're going to go back to the very beginning and start doing them again from the very start. So yeah, we're very excited.
And meanwhile, now that doesn't mean that now we haven't made any announcement about the main book yet. That is coming. There is there is an announcement going to be coming on that in the near future, on the main book. But in the meantime, this prequel series of these graphic novels will get started, and you can go into the next book knowing what's happened, where they were,
Yeah.
and where they, when I wrote Fortuna's Rings, which was more of a pilot book to kind of do a test concept, it was left mysterious kind of what happened to their relationship and everything. Well, now all the questions about who, how they became friends, what happened to them, everything prior to the mainline series, is going to be answered in these graphic novels that we're presenting as web comics.
Yeah.
And like Ella said, this one is just kind of like, it was kind of the only one we're doing out of order, and it was just because I needed to do kind of a warm up. I hadn't done comics in many years, and so it was my warm up.
Yeah. So there's quite a few. There's there's kind of two parts to the prequel graphic novels. There's sort of these smaller chunks. They're more like issues, they're a couple of pages long, and they go over a certain incident or moment in time. And then there's actually going to be longer prequels that are like the events like directly before Wolfgang, that follows each of the characters like individually. And so yeah.
So I see your question, Liv, about, so Marco and Hugo did meet as children, and so you're going to see them at various stages of their, so you're going to see they're going to look different, right? Because
Yeah.
we're going to be at different stages of their childhood. Marco and Hugo first meet when Hugo's like 10 years old, but the way we've set this up, we've got Ella when she was drafting like what she thought the first one would be, we go like to the beginning. Okay, so
Yeah.
we're not, everything forward that we've been doing is canon and in order and everything. So
Yeah. Yeah, and if you have any questions, we'll be putting I imagine we'll be putting like a timeline up, you know what I mean, about sort of the events as the graphic novels come out. We'll be kind of placing them, you know what I mean, on a timeline for anybody who's new or who's coming into the world and seeing all these panels and stuff. Um so we are very excited about it. It's a very big deal.
hey, Mark.
Will
Yeah, so the books will be a different book. They won't be included in the book itself. They'll be a separate. But by the time we're done, it's probably going to be over 150 pages of graphic
well
novel
over,
easily.
yeah.
So, and we have the timing of that and multiple episodes. So those are like in full swing.
Yeah. Yeah, and what's important to note is that these are the main line. You know what I mean? Is it important? The first book is going to come out, and these are technically prequels, but it's all a part. It's all Hugo and Marco's story, right? So it's all a part of the same universe. These are not like, oh, what if? These are things that have happened that lead them to the events of the first official book, right? That's written out in more like a not a graphic novel style, right? But these graphic novels are technically still a part of that story, so they're all a part of this world.
Hey, Ruben, Mal, I didn't get to say hi to you. Mark.
We hope that you're not getting in trouble at work, but we do appreciate you watching our stream on a Friday afternoon.
Hey, and let me know if the volume is okay on everything. We've got kind of the chill stream music in the background. By the way, Mark, I showed Ella your YouTube channel yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you got to check out what Mark has been doing, because about your comic dubs, and I sent her there yesterday to check you out.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how we can get the comic. I did a little kind of silly test for Chris yesterday that was okay. That we're trying to figure out how to make the comics into videos a little bit without it looking too bad.
So the volume is good, right? I haven't heard anyone complain. Just want to make sure.
Oh, I'm glad you liked the story, J-Tunes. That's great. So if you guys don't know, on our Patreon we have official sort of side stories. They're called Legends of the Great Machine. They're side stories for Flux Destiny. They follow different people, and those are in, book format, so written. And we're putting out more of those soon. So if you haven't caught up with them, make sure you keep caught up, because more stories will be coming with different characters very soon.
And I should know, we got to give credit to Jacoby, because Jacoby is the one who helped design Firefly in that episode.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be doing, he did this awesome design for Firefly and for Conrad and for Bonebiter. Who I loved his design for Bonebiter. I was just like really impressed with that. And so I can't wait to show you. I'm going to do some new covers based on his designs. Hey, Katie. Katie made it. I knew Katie would show up. Ella representing with her Flux Destiny shirt, which I should have worn.
Yeah. What's going on? What the heck?
I don't know. I need to be fired.
What, you're gonna fire yourself?
I don't have enough Flux Destiny flair on.
You don't. Did you bring snacks for the stream? I was like, I feel well prepared.
I went ahead. So I had leftover food from yesterday that I didn't get to eat. I went ahead and like ate it already, and then I just kind of scarfed it down, and then I've got my lemon water, which has been inspired by Ella, who's been making sure that my mini Cokes have been kept to a minimum.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, so I have pretzels and nuts and a little granola bar. I'm ready for I feel like I'm like apocalypse stocked, like ready for,
I didn't get that prepared. I need to be a better friend to myself.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, thank you, Mal. If I ever need to be talked off a bridge, I know it's going to be Mal. Send Mal.
It's not going to be me. I'm going to be like, get back to work.
She's going to be the reason I'm at the bridge, is because of her. Okay, I just want you to know this.
Don't say that. They're going to think that I'm mean to you.
Someone asked me to blink twice if I'm being held hostage.
No, don't. You're not. You love this? Don't even pretend.
I do love this. Okay, do you know what I really love to do? I've mentioned this before. I love drawing the seams on pants.
Where did that come from? Like, is it just like a love for detail?
Okay, do you know where... No, there's a legit reason for that. And the legit reason is that when I was studying what makes the difference between... I spend a lot of time... I don't lie. Whenever someone shows me their art, I spend a lot of time, like, I really study it. I zoom into it. And, hold on one second.
And he's gone. Now you can listen to me eat pretzels.
Sorry, I had to close the door. It was getting loud over there. I study very closely what others do and kind of like their styles, and I'm like, okay, well, what made this particular... Why is this so awesome? Like, what is it that's like visually appealing about this? I kind of do like Gordon Ramsay does whenever he's like on Kitchen Nightmares and he like takes apart the food. I go there and I study like really closely. Well, what is being done? Why is this visually appealing? And, you know, I grew up with Disney cartoons and, what do you call it? Like, I don't know, like Western animation really was my influence when I was younger. Obviously with, Nintendo and Sega and all those things in the process. But the point I'm trying to make there is, I was like, why is my stuff still too? I always felt my stuff was too cartoony, and I was like, how do I make it more, a little, just at least a touch more sophisticated looking, you know?
Right.
And when I started studying, like, okay, well, why do I like? Yeah, sorry about that, Mark. When I when I had when I started studying, well, what makes my the like manga more entertaining, more visually sophisticated in some cases, I realized it was the little details. It was the little things, the finer line work, and the little details they put on clothes. And I had some people comment, like, for example, on that Hugo, the one that Liv came up with the meme for, where Hugo's like, marry me on the last panel, but that's not what he's
Mm-hmm.
saying. If you look at him, there's all details. And that's a tiny frame. That's a tiny panel in that comic. And if you look at that
Yeah.
one, there's stitch work. There's stitch work on Hugo's pants and on the little thing that holds his Taurus. You know, so there's a lot to. So it's those little details. So when I add here the stitches to Marco's pants on his pants here, you're gonna it starts adding a whole different dimension to it.
Yeah.
So you can and it gives it more dimension when you see the stitch lines.
Yeah. Well, it's just crazy how fast. I think it's crazy how fast you can work right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it came from a place of just being more confident, I think, and just going with it. I think if you get too stiff, I was telling my I was telling my I don't remember who I was talking about. I was talking to someone the other day, and I was telling, when we, and it's my own advice I need to follow. I was like, whenever you get too stiff and you try too hard, things always don't look as good as you want them to look, because
Mm-hmm.
it reflects in how the artwork looks when
Yeah.
it's so stiff, you know.
I find myself writing like that. I write very quickly, and the way that I write is like I do these really big chunks of what I know that I'm gonna put in, dialogue, whatever, and then I like will skip around a chapter or a scene and just write the parts that I have in my head already. And then I'll go back and do the little connecting threads. Not everybody can write like that. Some people have to write like directly in order, you know?
Right.
Um but the way that I write is very like I write the parts, or I'll even write like a really big outline of like the whole thing, because I need to see it from start to finish. Like I will write when I'm writing like a book series, I will write the outline for the entire series first. Like I
Right.
can't write just like one. Like I'll write the bigger and then smaller and then a little bit smaller and smaller and smaller. And I just do it because that's what's in my head. I can see certain scenes, I can see certain pieces, and so I just write them down, and then later I come back through and I'm a little bit more detailed. And sometimes I do have to be more disciplined instead of looser and have to be like, I'm finishing this chapter first before I move on, because there are times where I start to, you know, get too broad, and then I have to find more discipline instead of being looser. And so there's times, for both like the loose and the disciplined.
You know, I'm the same way when it comes. Well, I'm kind of a hybrid approach when it comes to writing, because I my philosophy about things being deliberate. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't like things having to be. In fact, Ella and I were talking about yesterday. I was telling her about a particular instance that I did something that I retconned and kind of created a problem for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't like doing that, and so that's why I'm hyper you know uh, uh, pre-planned before I do things. And
Yeah, it's
what's that?
no, go ahead. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, and for me, it's been like wanting to get your. There's this book I read about, like, there's people. This one guy calls it, you either you're either a planner or you write by the seat of your pants, right? Which is someone who just writes. One way or another, even if you're just someone who just writes the whole story, you're going to have to go back and edit it and clean it up and do all sorts. So one way or another, you're going to be like, he likens someone who writes from the seat of their pants at like Michelangelo, like chipping away at a rock, you know, to make a beautiful statue. It's just, it's a big mound and you're going to have to like work around it. Versus the plotter who does all the detail work ahead of time, like all the planning, you've kind of done that heavy lifting ahead of time, you know, and it reduces the amount of like, so, but I do a mixture of the two, you know. I like, sometimes I can only do, sometimes like working at a high level on an outline is, you have to have the characters actually interacting, right? To see something. So I have to like, okay, I have to then delve into a scene and start writing it. And I saw this thing one time that someone wrote, whenever you're like stuck on writing a scene, just write at the top of the page, dumbest version ever. Most dumb version or something like that.
Most dumb version.
Yeah, something like that. And just to let you be free to write whatever. You know? Katie, the question you were asking is, the book, no, that's not that one. I don't remember what book it was. I'll be quite frank, I don't remember. But you should definitely read that book. I recommend it to you. And Ruben, I know how you feel about the perspective. Actually, I don't know if you can tell, it might be too light, but in this drawing here, let me take this out. This, let me zoom out and you can kind of see. So you can kind of see Marco's flying in the sky here, and I've got this like rough grid I drew. So you can see Hugo staring up at him, and I need to fix the perspective just a bit. But if you go to my Patreon, oh, not Patreon, my Pinterest, actually go to links.fluxdestiny.com, and at the very bottom, there is a link to Chris's art references, and there are some references on perspective there. So at the very bottom of my screen, I think you go to, okay, you can see it, links.fluxdestiny.com. And at the bottom of that is a link to Pinterest. And
there's also links to Patreon.
There's also links to Patreon there too. We got to eat after all.
Yeah.
So check that out. I think that should be helpful. You're welcome, Liv. This shot is for you. Shot is dedicated.
We need more Marco fans. I think Liv needs more competition.
Well, I think that's what's going to happen now with what we've been doing.
Yeah,
because you're going to see. Yeah, you're going to see something completely different now because you're going to actually see him in action.
Yeah.
And Thomas, all the shoes in the series are dedicated.
We're just going to keep dedicating little bits of everything.
Yeah.
This particular shirt is for you. This sock is for you. This hand gesture is for you.
By the way, if you noticed, just a little thing, if you saw this when I drew the shoe, like I already drew the foot, right? He's going to wear a shoe. He's not going to have his socks, but I already drew his foot. And so by drawing the foot, sometimes people go straight to drawing the shoe. If you draw the foot roughly first, it's easier to draw the shoe on top because now you've got, what do you call it? A reference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rivals are good. Rivals are good to have. We were talking about that earlier today, too. It's so funny. You guys always talk about stuff that we've just been talking about.
Yeah,
but
it's good to have an art rival.
Yeah. Even if you're friends.
I was telling, I'm not going to say who, but I was telling Ella, I was like, you know, there are some people on Twitter that don't even know who I am, that they are my art rivals, and they don't know this, right? And I've got this whole drama around them that I tell Ella about, and I'm like, oh, and I have literally no contact with them.
Today.
And none of it's real. It's more like motivating because I see
Yeah.
what they're doing and they're really talented and they're really disciplined. And I try to look at others, you know, um, and draw inspiration from it.
Yeah. Well, I told Chris that he's my rival, and I just left it at that. I didn't explain it. I just told him that he's my rival.
So now we have become rivals. Well, she's my rival too because this woman is so like a machine that I thought I was a machine. This woman's a machine. She pumps out content and stuff so fast, and I'm like, I need a wellness check.
I am a fast writer. You know, Chris, I have slowed down sending you stuff
Don't
because I
slow
don't
down on my account. Don't slow down on
you
my
don't
account.
get to it. You can't get to it fast enough. I've had to slow down. It's
Oh
okay.
my god.
It's
Oh
okay.
my. Oh my god. No,
I'm
no, no.
mostly
Don't slow down on my app. Because then if you do, I then you can't let me get comfortable with that.
uh,
You
okay.
gotta you
Okay.
gotta keep going so that I don't so that I will feel the pressure.
Mm. What's really been taking my time is I've been going really hardcore on writing these stories for the RPG Flex Fantasy. And if you guys have never been a GM before or written your own game, I'll explain it like you're building a board game. You're building events for players to go into and mini games and characters. It's like writing a whole video game each time, you know? And then when you get done with one, you turn to the next one and you have to do it all over again because there has to be different characters and different situations. You know, I feel like a board game is a little bit easier sometimes because you get to just do it once, you know? Um,
Right.
yeah. So sometimes I don't know, sometimes it takes a long time to get through them. So that's what's been taking most of my time, but I hope that you guys, we're gonna really be hitting the RPG really hard this next week. um and so you'll see the new stuff that we're putting out, and we've done several of them, so there'll be more to play. So
I'm a big fan, Ruben, of art rivals because if you do it the right way, it's you have to do it. I want to be clear. I mean it from a healthy perspective. I
yeah.
don't mean you should be like hating on someone. I
Hmm.
mean a rival is not someone who you like hate on. It's a rival
No.
that makes you. One thing that made a huge difference in my professional and just personal life was to look at things more from you need to compete against versions of yourself, previous versions of yourself, not other people. But you need outward motivation too to help you keep going. And when you look at others and go, God, look what they're doing. I can
Hmm.
do that. You know, if I focus and I put the put the put the effort into it, I can make it happen too, you know?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're totally right. And you know, we motivate each other too. We're rivals, but we're friends. You know what I mean? Chris will be like, "This was really good," and he'll read my stuff and he'll give me comments, and it helps me. You know, it's not good to just be like in a little bubble,
Right.
you know, by yourself making stuff. So I hope that you guys have been enjoying the Patreon stories. You'll have to let me know. Do you think that they're too short or too long? Because I can write more, together. But we'll see. I think they're going at a good pace right now.
Bye, Katie. I think they're pretty. I mean, I think, I think given. I mean, these are like. I think we figured it was going to be about how many words by the time you were done with this particular story.
Let me do the calculation real quick.
Hey, Carl.
About 40,000 words.
So that's like a light novel, okay?
Yeah.
And so, you
This is
know,
just one, the first one.
yeah, so she's been, and we've got another one coming out that she's already written the first chapter for that's really fun. You want to tell them about like the different classes that we're going to be covering in those? And
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna change. I'm. I think I'm gonna change the main character's gender. Um, but
oh, are you really?
I think so. I think originally the main character right now is a boy, and I think that I'm gonna make the character a girl. It doesn't change the characterization of this person, but I just feel like as I'm writing, I think it will fit better. Um, and I think that we'll see. We'll see. We'll have to see if it comes out a boy. You know, um.
Shocking news. I'm learning this live.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I want to say that before I like say something about the character, and then I'm later people are like, "What? That's not what you said." To be very clear, this character is not fully fleshed out yet. But the next story is going to be about escape artists. So this first one is the story about like an ink fighter, and then the second story is going to be about escape artists. Um,
Sorry.
and the It's okay. And these escape artists, though, they're not going to be like in gears or anything. Um, these escape artists are in a band, and so they are like one of them. The main one is like creative. One of them is like elemental and does the drums and is always like sending up fire. So there's that one, and then there's one of them's an ink fighter actually, and then one of them's kind of like an escape artist who doesn't know who she wants to be. She doesn't know what study to pick, and so she's just sort of a general escape artist, which we don't talk about very often as people not being able to pick one. They're just sort of like they can kind of do karmistry, but they don't have a specific study. And so that dynamic will come into play, and so yes, they're banding together. um but yeah, they're kind of like um they're short stories that will be about different characters that are not about Hugo and Marco. Chris is doing sort of the stuff that's like the mainline series, and then I'm going to be writing all of this stuff that's like on the different people in the world, because the world Fortuna is huge by itself, and there's a whole world beyond Fortuna. So uh yeah, that's what it's about, and that's what we hope that the we're doing 4 stories pretty quickly here. One about ink fighters, or like one that mainly focuses on the ink fighters, which is out right now, the champion story. One that's about escape artists. One is going to be about special agents, and then one's going to be about clockbots. So you can kind of learn the different groups of people that mainly live in Fortuna. And then, in fact, there'll probably be another one that's specifically about like Honto people or cosplay people, just to kind of give you guys some more in-depth look at like how they work. And because like Hugo and Marco are escape artists, they're never going to be like using sigils in battle. They're never going to be like using karma tech. So we wanted to give these short stories are a way to expand the universe, but outside of like a game, so you could just sit down and read it in one session. You don't have to like play Flex Fantasy to like get all the juicy details. um so yeah, that's what it's going to be about. That's what's to be expected. If you're not a part of the $5 and up tier, that's where the Patreon stories are going to be located. And if you join, then you get to read those stories as they come out. They're going to start to come out more than once a week. Right now it's every Wednesday, so they're going to start to come out more than once a week. So there'll be a plethora of things to read, all Flux Destiny based. So we hope that you can join us in reading those and learning about the world. Eventually those will come out in book form, sort of like a Flux Destiny annual, where all of them are together. But that won't be for a very long time. So if you want to read the stories now and get the inside scoop with everybody else, make sure that you're with us as best you can. So Yeah, Fortuna is a little bit smaller. So Liv says, didn't Chris mention that Fortuna is smaller than the United States? And it is. It is smaller. It's
Oh, I think
it,
she
it,
said similar. I think she's asking.
oh, similar. I thought it says smaller.
Similar.
Yeah, so it's very similar. It's like pretty much a mirror of what the United States is in the 90s.
And geographically, it's also a little bit smaller. It's probably about 65% of what size of the United States.
But it still has the same major regions, you know.
See, like going back to I swear I'm not obsessed about seams, but this, like, whenever I clean this image up, and when you see this seam in the final drawing, it's gonna look really cool. Or like where the seams are, where like one of the cool things about when you're when you're doing these kind of things, we're researching, well, where do seams go? Like now I have knowledge that general people don't have because there are details that people don't waste brain space on, you know?
It's like that old joke where they say, like, writers are kind of like serial killers because they look up the most, like, random...
Yeah, it's
like,
true.
how much blood is in a body. I look up some really weird stuff, like, what color are bruises at certain times? You know what I mean? Stuff like that, so I could, like, write the Ink Fighter story, and it's just like... Or, like, what do underground boxing rings look like? You know? Like,
it's true, though. It's true. You have to put in, but that's where the authenticity of the world comes in. If you don't, like, do your research when you're building your world and writing about things, it just it also breaks the illusion, especially for people who have more knowledge about it than you do.
Yeah.
And they're like, that doesn't work that way. You know, that's not how. What is he talking? And you look ignorant.
Yeah.
You don't want to look ignorant because remember, I've talked about the whole connection between authority and being an author.
Yeah.
That is and the only way you can keep your authority and be authentic is for you to research and know what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah. So Carl asks a good question, and he says, does Fortuna still have a Grand Canyon? And I think there's a little bit of a misconception, I think. Fortuna is not America. They're not the same Earth. They're like a multiverse. You know what I mean? They're different Earths. It's an alternate Earth, right? So it's not like our Earth, 100 years ago or whatever. They're different. So there's not going to be kind of the same sort of, the geography is going to be very different. If that makes sense. So there might be something that's like the Grand Canyon, but it might not be called that, right? It's not like there's a 1-for-1 our world and their world. Well, right, Chris? I don't think I'm like...
No, that's correct. In fact, funny thing is that there are like geographical, like natural geography like that in this world.
Yeah.
But when you look at something like Fortuna, Big Mouth, which if you read Fortuna's Rings is the main location, that was essentially their kind of like their Grand Canyon. Right. And so and that exists in this world too. But Fortuna has really it's a pretty varied terrain. So you're going to find things like Grand Canyon, like canyons and stuff out there.
Yeah, it just might not be called the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, it's just not called it for sure. Yeah.
It's definitely difficult. There's certainly things that will be added as the world expands. So we have the map, we have the main what Fortuna looks like. I'm certain that there will be more cities introduced that are than there are on the map right now, right? Because there's like when you look at a really big map of the United States, you don't see all of the little cities, right? So
Right.
there's lots of other elements. I'm sure there's canyons. I'm sure there's mountain ranges that are unnamed. I'm sure there's lakes. There's lots of things. So if there's a place, and that's sort of the beauty of Flux Fantasy is that if you have a town that you're really partial to or a look that you're really going for, put it on the map, put it somewhere. And it, it doesn't mean that it's actually there, but it's plausible that there's something like that there, that there's something like that in the world, because it's so big.
That's right.
And we're so excited for the full world map to come out.
Yeah, it's very close actually. So we are pretty much almost solidified with the land masses, and there's just like one or two tweaks that we're still dealing with, but it looks really cool. I cannot wait to drop that on you guys. I think you're really gonna like that.
Yeah, and something to remember is that because this is an alternate world, you might not find all of the groups of people to be the same. They're different. They might seem a little bit familiar, but they're not quite the same as ours.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to include as many. It's not like practical to include everyone. So, but I tried to include the major cultures in some way.
Yeah.
But it's just not practical to build the whole world out.
No, we would
at least at this
forever.
stage. Later, when we're bigger and we have more writers and stuff to help, they can do that.
Yeah, go write every city in the world. If we don't get a world map before New Year, I riot. Okay.
Oh, you're getting it really soon. Yeah, no, don't worry. Your warning is going to be heeded, and you're going to get that super soon. I promise. It's like on the verge. We're just now what we're doing is we've got the land masses figured out, and then we're working on the borders of the countries. I already know all the countries. I already know all the. I've developed the countries already. I've developed the even things like in our world we have the Tropic of Cancer, the Tropic of Capricorn. Like all those things have been sorted out. They have different names in this universe, but they're the same thing. So Fortuna and Bravura. So the relationship between them is pretty straightforward. There's no real like beef now between them, except that it's one of those countries where a lot of people immigrate from, and they're escaping a dictatorship there. And Fortuna is doesn't like the influx of new people coming from there. But Marco is from Bravura. Or he wasn't born there. His family was born there. Is from there. He was born in Fortuna. And so I tried to bring it from my own experience, my own family experiences. My parents were immigrants. My mom came from Cuba, and my dad came from Lebanon, and I was born in Texas of all places. So I tried to channel some of that experience into their stories of what it was like to be the son of immigrants, and what it was like being an immigrant growing up in deep South United States,
Yeah. And we're going to get into a little bit of that in the graphic novel.
Right. And so, Bravura is kind of an amalgamation of different Hispanic cultures into one. And it kind of represents, in a way, it was once, I think, in its own history, it was kind of like how, the Spanish Empire used to be a really formidable force in the world. It no longer is, obviously, but at one point, the Spanish Empire was the most powerful country in the world, and is no longer the case. So that's kind of the state of Bravura now.
Carl asks, "What's the funkiest country name according to you that you dare spoil to us?"
Hmm. That's a good question. Funkiest one.
I feel like they're all pretty straightforward. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know if there's one that's like that's weird, like but they're all themed. When
Yeah.
when I started creating the world, the Flux Destiny Earth, I wanted the names of the countries. So there's a lot of theming having to do in Flux Destiny with um, ego, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so the nations of the world are actually named after descriptive terms, right? It's not like some made up word to be a country. They're actual like words. Like Fortuna means something. Fortuna means fortune in Latin. Um, each of these countries' names, uh, Grandeur, which is the equivalent of France, um, Opula is India. Um, Sorry, my brain is like freezing all of a sudden. Um, Valor, Paragon, all of these are descriptive words, right? As opposed to being like made up country words.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I really like that. I really enjoy that.
and I like it because the theming, like, I don't, I feel like it's more deliberate than just coming up with a fake country name. Plus,
Yeah.
it ties to the theme that we talked about. Thank you. Ruben. I'm glad to hear. I love that he's also a fellow Braverin. So you see how rough I did the draw? Like they're super rough and like just messed up, but then I kind of go over it multiple times until I find what I want. So if you saw the previous one of Marco, it was way rougher than what I have now. They like it's just rough. Kind of gets.
Oh, sorry, Liv. Liv asks, did Marco and his family experience racism or hostility? I think
Yes.
you kind of answered it.
The answer is yes. And I don't want to make it sound like everyone is racist toward like it's kind of like
Yeah.
again using the United States as a model for it. It's just like in the United States, we deal with racism here and just like any country. But you because it's uses that model. But Fortuna, so I'm old enough to have been around prior to September 11th, and the world was a very different place in America. There was a very different. America has become, unfortunately, it's a very cynical place now. It's very different than it was. If you watch movies from the 80s and 90s, there was this American exceptionalism and that existed, and that was and people flocked to get here. There's a reason why people want to come to the United States is because it's a place where it doesn't matter really where you came from or what your circumstances are. You can make it. My parents came to this country with nothing,
Mm-hmm.
like literally nothing, and um, when they did that, they started cleaning theater bathrooms as their first job, and then my dad worked all his way up to being president of a oil company. you know, and he came with nothing. Okay, and there's not many places on earth that you can find those opportunities. And so, you know, I think even to this day, with the cynicism that surrounds, American culture, I think that is not only I think I know that that is still true. And Fortuna is the same way. Is that um, Fortuna? A lot of people come here because they see the excitement around, like the opportunities around Karmastry, right? And so the Fortunan dream, coming to Fortuna to accomplish your dreams, is a big deal. And so a lot of
Yeah.
people come here to escape, other countries, like Bravura, which has descended into this, dictatorship. And Marco's family escaped. And there's a whole story behind Marco's family that's very central to the whole mainline series. Um,
Well, good answers, Chris. We're at the end of our first hour already.
what?
I know.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run and take a quick bathroom break and grab. I think I'm gonna need like a snack, like Ella. Just give me one
I
second.
know.
I will be right
I came
back.
prepared. Okay.
Yeah, she was already prepared, so I'll let Ella talk to you for 2 seconds. Entertain him, Ella. I'll be right back.
Okay, I will.
And I need to feed my dog, so it'll just be 1 second.
Um, well, thank you guys for joining us today. This second hour, you guys have already started doing it, but we're going to be taking more lore questions. So if you have any other lore questions, like Liv, it was a great question, about, the culture and racism and all that kind of stuff. Those are great questions. So keep them coming. We are happy to start answering them. Chris, he might continue on this drawing. He might start a new one. We've got more fun stuff happening. And don't forget, if you join our Patreon or you move up a tier, let us know and we will take time to draw a fun sketch to celebrate that. And at the end, we're looking at some fan art and doing like a very mini little fan art showcase of all the stuff that has come through recently. So that will be sort of at the end of this 3 hours. So we're going into hour two of our 3 hour live stream. When we originally when I originally pitched this to Chris, I actually wanted to do it for like 12 hours. I said I want to do a 12-hour stream, and he said that he thought he would die. And so we shortened it down. But let us know if you would be interested in a longer live. Maybe not 12 hours, maybe something a little bit in between. But yeah, I hope that you guys are enjoying this and having fun, and we are very excited to now go into our second hour of diving into the lore, um, and all that kind of stuff. If you don't have any questions, then we're gonna be answering questions from the um lore channel, and we're just gonna, even if we've already answered them, we'll be doing them again. But if you have any questions, put them down in the chat or let us know. Um, a 6 hour stream, yeah, that, something in between that might work. Um, but yeah, let us know, and I'm glad that you guys are drawing with us and having fun. I've been writing a little bit on the side, the next chapter. So I hope that you've been enjoying all of the content that we've been putting out. Yeah, you guys would stay for a 6 hour stream. I don't know. We need a plan together while Chris is out of the room how to get him to do a 6 hour stream. Maybe one day we'll work up to a 24-hour stream. We'll do a 20, like a charity event where we do something really long.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry. I promised. Ella, please don't scream at me. I tried to be fast.
No, you were great. That was very fast. You make it seem like I'm so angry at you all the time. I'm not.
That's my shtick, is to like create drama where there's no drama.
Yes, it is. You're a drama queen. I was telling them that originally I wanted to do a 12-hour stream.
when she said that, I was like, "What are you? You're gonna kill me?"
That's what I told them, and then I said, "Would you guys stay for a longer stream?" And they're saying that they would stay for a 6-hour stream. That the next time we do a stream, it's gotta be 6 hours.
All right, well, maybe we'll pull that off next time. Because I mean,
So
the truth is, we're working anyway.
yeah,
So
just come hang out with us.
if you just want to hang out with us, we're working all the time anyway. So if you want to see what we're doing, might as well.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it like on a weekend. You know, maybe a Saturday or a Sunday or something, so people can maybe not be at work.
We figured if Friday would be fun because, you know, a lot of people are, let's be frank, clocking, you know, phoning it in on a Friday.
You guys are phoning it in. No, we're just kidding. So, do you think you're gonna continue with this drawing, or
yeah, I'm gonna keep working on this because I can finish this up relatively quickly. I'm at the end of doing the draft work, and I'm gonna quickly clean it up. And so I'm gonna keep doing this. You guys don't mind, because I want to get this out to the patrons today. And you guys get a sneak peek of it. If you're not on Patreon, you get a sneak peek of what's happening. Like, I'm so excited about doing this. We've tried to plan it out so that all the pages for the graphic novel will be done within a year from today. So
yeah,
and doesn't mean there won't be more graphic novel beyond that.
there absolutely will.
There will be, but like these prequels we're talking about, you're going to be able to. But anyway, just saying.
There's certain, yeah, we're trying our best to get the prequels done in a year, which will give more than enough time for the thoughts that we're having on the mainline series to come together. Hopefully. So yeah, that you can expect. And to be clear, again, this is a part of the mainline series. It's just a different format of it.
Yeah, we figured instead of doing those as a book, it's an opportunity to get back into comics. Oh, hey, so Mal, it was slow today for you? You took a nap. That's funny. It's actually really funny. We'll keep you company.
Yeah, we'll be your ASMR for the second nap. I told them too, Chris, while you were gone, that if anybody joins the Patreon, that you draw them a funny sketch.
Oh, right.
You could see that Chris is ecstatic about that.
Oh, I'm just focused. I'm sorry. I'm focused.
No, he's very focused. Jtune says, you have so much respect because drawing comic panels is so time consuming.
Oh, thank you. It is time consuming, and I appreciate that a lot. And and it's easy to settle. It's easy to draw a comic page and be like, okay, that's good enough, you know? But I don't like doing that, at least anymore in my life. And so every time I do something, like I was telling Ella, if it's not fun for me to draw, I know it's not going to be fun for you guys to read, because it won't come through. The fun won't come through.
Yeah.
You know, so I try to push I actually had a completely different angle planned for this. And then as I played with it more, I was like, no, I think I found what I want. And then, you know, the characters, like, they have to be, there's a way that I have to draw them that I find aesthetically pleasing too. You know, so that, like, it's not just like getting them out. I also want to get them right.
It's very hard. It's very hard with all that Chris has to do anyway. It's very difficult. Okay, Chris, I'm gonna go through unless there's other um unless there's other questions you know, coming from the chat here, I'm gonna go back through the lore channel and find some questions that I like or that I feel like could be answered better.
Okay.
In the Ask About Lore channel on our Discord. I'll find a good one.
By the way, I don't know if you got, while she's looking that up, I don't know if you guys notice in my style, I always put the, like, whenever someone does the grin, I always just put out the one single line, like as if they have a gap tooth, which they don't. But I don't like, I like, there's just something aesthetically pleasing to that one line.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty prominent on the last page, where you can see Marco with that.
Okay, here's a good question. Okay, and I answered this a little bit in the lore chat, but I'll say it again. And this is from our friend Mouth, who did the GM thing with us on that really cool live stream. So he says, I have a question about payback. Does it only go after the person that caused it, or could somebody cause a large payback with the goal of taking themselves and their enemy out?
So, oh, was that in the lore channel? That's a great one. I need to actually answer that in there. That's an excellent question, and the answer is that payback is specifically designed to represent consequences in our world. Just because you may do something bad doesn't mean that it just comes after you, right? There's collateral damage that could happen. You could absolutely weaponize payback.
Yep.
It absolutely can be weaponized. It's an excellent question.
That's what I said. That's
it's
how
an
I
excellent
answered
question.
it. That's pretty much exactly what I said. It especially in a game like Flux Fantasy, I said, it will try to go for you, but it will go for anybody nearby.
It will go through anyone to get you.
Go through anybody to get you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't care who you are. What's standing in the way.
Here's a question that I couldn't answer that I waited for, and Mal's actually in the chat. Mal asked a little while ago, like almost 2 weeks ago, he said, how do characters feel about pineapple upside down cake? And I said, that's a Chris question. I don't know the answer to that.
Pineapple what does Marco and Hugo think about that?
Yeah. I guess Lucky too. How does Lucky feel about
pineapple upside down cake? That's a good question. I personally like pineapple upside down cake.
I was gonna joke that Marco likes it and Hugo really likes it, but he doesn't realize that he's allergic to pineapple because it kind of tingles for everybody. So he's like allergic to it, and he just is like, what? That's how pineapple is. And everybody's like, no, not like that.
No, dude, that's not healthy.
Yeah.
That would be funny if he's allergic to it. Although that might contradict something I wrote before, which didn't I say something about, check the wiki. I don't know if in the trivia in the wiki, if it says that Hugo likes pineapple pizza.
Oh, maybe.
I don't remember. I said someone does. I can't remember.
I'll have to look at it. Liv asks, what are their favorite cakes? What are their favorite types of cake?
I think Marco's favorite kind of cake is, he's very much like a like chocolate raspberry kind of person. And I think Hugo is like the confetti cake.
Oh my god, like a birthday cake. Yeah.
Like a birthday cake. I think Hugo like birthday cake, wedding cake kind of taste,
Mm-hmm.
I think he goes crazy for that. especially with the like. I actually love confetti birthday cake ice cream and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not only like fun because of all the colors and stuff, but it just tastes really good. And it's cute. I think it's adorable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm trying to find some good. I'm trying to find some older questions. Okay, Ruben has a question. So, Hugo suffers from overclock. I know in the past you said it's like their gear stops and the attack feels like they're freezing up. Have you made any changes in regard to overclock
Um,
that you can tell us? You know,
that
don't
that's what
answer
I'm
any questions
thinking
that are
about.
spoilers. So just so you guys
What
know, there's so much that we still can't tell you. So as we answer lore questions, there might just be stuff that we can't say yet.
So the short answer is there are some changes, obviously, with everything that's been, fixed up, but I don't think there's anything that will like affect. It's basically reacts the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Hugo does not have overclock at the beginning of this story. He gets overclock at the end of during the events of the mainline series, and so um, so he'll have to take fake candy and stuff for it. So there's nothing really I can say. The short answer is yes, that you know there have been some changes, but nothing that's going to be like that should ruin anything. Oh, what did Jacoby say? Jacoby asked something up there.
So I know it's set in the 90s and storm chasing was big in the late 90s. There are Carminstry storm chasers, but for ruptures, was thinking about designing a team of them.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah, they
Yeah,
could
that'd
be
be.
explorers, like rupture explorers.
And then Liv says, "What real life candy is similar to fake candy?"
Have you ever seen that rock candy that's like on a stick?
Yes, that you
You know
get
what I'm
at
talking
every like
about?
cave attraction. Yes.
Yeah, like cave attraction. Yeah, exactly. Like I think you can get it at what's the country place?
The
Cracker
country
Barrel.
place.
I think they have it at
Cracker
Cracker
Barrel.
Barrel too.
Mm-hmm. That
It's
country
like
place.
that. I think it tastes really good actually. I think it's like super sweet. It's almost like just pure sugar. Like I think
Yeah.
that's what it would taste like. But it looks crystalline, like that.
Does it taste good, or do you think it tastes like
Yeah, oh,
medicine?
I think it tastes very good. I don't think it's bitter or anything. I think it actually is very sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited too. Ella has seen this obviously, but in the next couple days, maybe even sooner, Hugo's updated design is coming out, and you're kind of seeing a little bit of it in the graphic novel because I'm reflecting it in there. But um, the uniform, the final canon uniforms for Wolfgang, the Hugo's design changes, and the finalization of the um like the proportions and everything of the new characters. So the characters are like, I've made my decisions on the proportions for the new designs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna see all that, and I'm really proud of, that Hugo that's waving in the profile picture. Um, they in the profile picture, I redrew that in modern form, and you're gonna see the difference. Ella got to see a side by side of it, and you can see the difference in it.
Yeah, it looks it. I was honestly shocked because I've been watching Chris update stuff, and it doesn't. in my mind it doesn't look anything different than Hugo. And then he showed me the side by side, and I like literally was like, those they look so not different. Like it's still Hugo, very
It's still,
clearly. It's
yeah.
just like in a much more like the art style is like advanced. It's like beginner to advanced. It's really weird, actually. Like it's really incredible. You did a really good job.
Thank you.
Okay, we got some more questions. If Hugo and Marco had the chance, which current time movies or series would they binge? I'd like to see Hugo going for all supernatural seasons and Marco binging Doctor House.
I love House. I could see Marco liking House. House is one of those shows that I can still watch
Mm-hmm.
years later
Yeah.
and knowing what happens, and I can, it's just like one of those comfort shows that I can watch, and I just love House's character.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hugo would have liked Beyblade.
He watches what is it, Digimon, like the knockoff Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly.
Not
I
Pokemon.
think
He doesn't like
Hugo,
Pokemon.
I think that's Hugo. I think Hugo would have watched like Digimon, like um kind of stuff, or like Beyblade, or like
He's insistent that Digimon came first. He's like very, they're like It's just a ripoff, and he's like, no, Digimon came first. You know
right.
what I mean? He's like very insistent about it.
That's so funny.
Hugo is a weeb.
He is.
He likes. He'd definitely be into all of the anime stuff. He would definitely watch My Hero. He'd probably like dye his hair green, like Deku, and like that would be Hugo in our world.
I wish we
Okay,
could
so
play
here's
like
another.
what?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I said I wish we could play like our karaoke songs.
I know that would be fun. We've got to do one. We've got to do a stream one day that we say we know that this isn't gonna make us any money. You know,
Right.
we'll just do the songs that
We'll
we
take the
like.
copyright strike just for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carl,
Okay.
Hugo would do that.
He would.
He would absolutely do that. And it's going to be fun when we do these as part of the prequels, when you can see the journey of Hugo and Marco and how they look different and how they change over the course of the years that they become friends and they meet. Hugo, I think it's not a secret. We've talked about this before. Hugo was overweight when Marco meets him due to certain circumstances in his life, and so he physically will look different, but he gets healthier over the course of the story.
Yeah.
Thanks to Marco's help. And that's not a spoiler because I've already mentioned that a few times before.
No, yeah, and it's also gonna happen pretty quickly. I don't remember what I was gonna say. I was gonna say something really funny and clever, but I've forgotten it. Oh, I remember. If you guys do a karaoke stream, I will not be there. Like I love you guys.
Doesn't that give you like secondhand
will...
embarrassment or something?
Yes, I will moderate and I will be in the chat and I will not say a word. I will be so quiet.
I think that is hysterical. She gets secondhand embarrassment. I don't know how you don't have secondhand embarrassment just being on the streams and me talk.
There are moments. No, I'm just kidding.
Ella, did you ever watch Seinfeld?
Like a couple of episodes, but never like a lot.
What about Curb Your Enthusiasm?
No, I don't think I
Are,
watched that either.
oh, those are my kind of shows. I love those shows.
Yeah, that tracks, I think. Not in a way that I'm trying to like make fun of you. I just that makes sense, you know.
You were so funny.
Well, like I watch a lot of animation like as a kid. Like I didn't watch a lot of live action. Like when I was a kid, stuff like iCarly and Victorious and like those kind of shows were on TV, and I never watched them. Like people would be like, "Oh, did you see the new season of Victorious?" I'd be like, "No, I watched SpongeBob and Jimmy Neutron, and that's what I was watching." You know, there was
Uh-huh.
not. I did not watch live action stuff, and so when I was a teenager, it just sort of continued. Like I just didn't, like I watched Steven Universe and Amazing World of Gumball. Like that's the stuff I watched as a teen. Like I was not, I was watching that kind of shows, and I never like really watched live action for a long time until I got older. I was always watching classic movies because I was like a film person. So I would always watch, like, I would watch like Citizen Kane when I was like 10, and I'd be like, this is the best movie ever. And that was my upbringing, was like old movies or animation. There was nothing like in between. So no, I was not a sitcom person. Did not watch sitcoms. And I still struggle to watch sitcoms to this day. The only ones that I've ever like made it through are Parks and Rec and like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And I haven't even like, and people are probably like gonna flame me, but like I've never finished The Office. I've never finished Friends. I watched like 4 episodes of Friends. I don't know. It's not my scene, I guess. I'm like, give me a black and white movie.
I didn't like. I never understood, even back then, what the appeal of Friends was. I always thought it was a stupid show. I don't understand.
It's a little dated. It's just like a little bit. It's a little dated, and not to say that there's not great episodes, but there's a couple that are a little rough. Rougher on the like social aspect.
Right.
You just go, ooh, like they say something and you just, like it's really tough.
Yeah, it's just a product of the. It's a product of the time. Things were very different then, but even so, like, even then during that time, I didn't understand why it was funny. Like I just I can watch it and be like, okay, this is kind of like hokey and funny, but in general, it's not comedy gold. Like I do not understand why it was so popular at the time. Seinfeld, I really like. I'm a big fan of Seinfeld, and the humor I find really it's much more smartly written and performed than Friends. So, and Larry David's show, Curb Your Enthusiasm, is so funny.
Yeah. And this is no hate to those shows. Chris and I are just very particular people. Here's the thing. Chris and I are the type of people that, like, we're not very good at doing things outside of our, like, niche.
Right.
Like we have to like and look at things that are like very particular to the way that we think, because it's like that we don't have a lot of time in our life, and so when we're gonna do something, we're gonna watch our comfort show, you know what I mean, over and over again, instead of trying something. At least that's for me. I'm like, I have like 4 shows that I watch, and then I watch like old movies, and that's my thing. I'll watch like a Western. That's one of my favorites.
I love that you love westerns. I think that's very cool.
I'm a cowgirl at heart. I try to run away from it. I've suppressed my Oklahoman accent as best I can.
Yeah.
And I have repressed the like Oklahoman phrases, and it comes out. It will come out every once in a while. Particularly like when I'm like mad, I'll start very like country.
So are you're like Hugo in that way?
Yes. when you said that about yoga, I was like, that's really funny because that's what I did. Well, I was in theater, and so when you're in theater, you're taught to speak with like what they call an American accent, because when you speak with a country accent, it like dates you. You know what I mean? It dates you as somebody, or like, you know, puts you in a certain location. So if you're playing like a British person or something, even if you're not doing an accent, if you're have that Oklahoman accent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't do it. And so in theater we just learned how to do what we called the American accent, and so that's what I speak now. But when I was a kid, you know, I had more of an Oklahoman accent. um so, and it's not as thick as like I would feel like a Texan accent is, but I think you could definitely tell. um
Right.
so yeah.
I noticed Jacoby mentioned Golden Girls in the chat. Golden Girls is a funny show. Golden Girls is a great show. I think it's hysterical. Very funny show.
My favorite Western is The Quick and the Dead Live. That's my favorite Western. I love that one. um I love the female cowgirl. I would walk around after I watched that movie. I watched the movie when I was way too young. My parents showed that to me when I was way too young. I loved it. I did not understand everything that was happening in that movie. But there's a female cowgirl in that movie, and I would walk around with my apple juice, and I would like do it in little shots, and I would like swing
That
it
is
back.
so cute.
I'd be like, and they'd be like, "Are you acting like that cowgirl?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm just drinking my apple juice." And I would be, because she would drink whiskey all the time, you know.
That is so adorable. I love that. That's a great story.
I've got lots of stories. I'm so professional with you and much more funny in real life. Chris doesn't know my like I'm how funny I am, because sometimes I'll say a joke and he'll be like, "You're so funny." I'm like, "I know." In real life, this is more what I'm like. I'm much funnier every day than I am in our meetings, because I'm trying to get stuff done.
She's very professional, so when she comes here, she's like all business, and then
Yeah.
and then I love whenever she like sometimes breaks down when I say something stupid. And then, what was it yesterday? Oh, the moo moo, the moo moo that sent her. The moo moo.
I didn't know where you were going with that story, because you started off with a very like kind of boring, you know, like, oh, there's this kid on his iPad. I was like, okay, and then the moo moo came in. Another
See,
reason to be on our Patreon. Is the Jeremy.
exactly. Well, you got to watch out because that's how I set things up. It's always like, oh, where's it going to come from? Well, it's like whenever I'm telling a story like that. See, my style is telling the. I think the important part of the storytelling when you're telling stories like that is the setup. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a story to tell right now.
Okay, great.
I have a story to tell. I'm gonna take a 2-second break on drawing.
Okay, I'm gonna eat my granola bar.
Okay. So many years ago, I'm not gonna name the company. I'm not gonna name the. I was part of this committee at the company, and we had to go to this. I'm trying to like generalize the story as much as possible. We had to go to this other company that was doing something for us, right? And we had this high-ranking executive in the company that thought he was just the bee's knees, okay? Like he was just like, he thought he was Steve Jobs, he was whatever. And we had this big meeting off-site that we had to go to, and it was filled with these professionals who were very stuffy, like think accountants, right? Mm-hmm. And we're in this room, and like in this like typical like this office like conference room is very small. Mm-hmm. And we're waiting for the executive to show up, right? He's a very high-ranking executive. We're waiting there, and we're eating our boxed Panera, and I'm having conversations with these stuffy professionals, and it's like those are moments where like it really comes clear to me like how precious life is, because I'm realizing at that moment, I'm like, little bits of my soul are disappearing at every second for having to sit in this meeting, right?
Right, yes.
When I could be doing this, right?
Hmm.
Anyway, I was an important person in this meeting, and I was the one who had set it up, and we were waiting. There was about 5 of us from the company there, and then like maybe 4 other guys. So
Hmm.
this executive had moved from another part of the country here, and he used to wear these very blousy shirts. I don't know what else to call them, like blouses, like they're very blousy. Okay, and
Sure.
he would keep them buttoned down to like here. They were like unbuttoned to here, right? Like I'm
Right. Like
talking
very
like
European.
very European, right? He had moved to Texas, and over the period of 4 months or so, 4 or 5 months or so, had gained like 40 pounds. Okay,
Right.
because
Texas.
it's
Yeah.
Texas food. I'm talking like noticeable weight gain from all the food that the Mexican food. He's just like eating Mexican. Anyway, so this is the Chekhov's gun. I'm telling you right now. Is this part?
I know.
Okay.
I know. I know.
Okay. So he shows up to this meeting finally, like 30 minutes late. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I just want to go home. I'm just tired of them. He comes there to give a big presentation, right? And so, okay, I'm gonna draw it on the screen real quick because I need to give you guys a little map just so you can kind of see. So, oops. Okay, this is the conference room. It's about this big, and then there's a rectangular table here, and this room is small, okay? And there's
Oh
about
no.
this many chairs, and then there's a screen right here, and then the executive guy is coming in from here, right? And
Hmm.
he's over here. This is him, and I'm seated right here. This is me right here, okay? This is me. And then basically every other person is from my company. So this person, and this person, and me. So that's all from our company, right? And the others are like the professionals. Anyway, he goes up there and starts giving this presentation. And we're like, oh my God. It's just like the typical like corporate speak, like stuff that you're just like, I can't, like I can't. It's so or like soul sucking, because it's like it's just buzzwords, and I'm
Right. Yeah.
sitting there picking at my Panera box salad that was given to me. It's wilted. You know,
Right.
the bread is like soggy. I'm like, okay, but I'm it's free food. I gotta eat. I'm eating, and during the course of this, he goes up there. He's giving his presentation. He gets to the end of the presentation, the crescendo of the conversation and of the presentation, and he says something I can't even remember to this day. I cannot remember what he said, because what happened next was so bananas. He goes, and that's why we are the best company in the world, or something. And he holds his arms out like this, and when he holds his arms out like this, his blouse flies open. Every button on his shirt breaks off. Every button flies off. And one hits the desk and falls in my salad. One hits the guy, one of the professionals, in the forehead. One flies off. Like, buttons are scattering everywhere, right? He's wearing no undershirt. His shirt flies open like this.
Uh huh.
And he freezes for a moment, and we are like mortified. And he goes, ah! Like, he goes like this, and then he tries after that to keep it going,
No,
as if
just
when you
acknowledge
trip,
it.
when
Just
you
acknowledge
you
it.
just
Yeah.
gotta, when you trip and you try to act like nothing happened. That's what
Yes.
happened, and he's trying to continue the presentation by holding his shirt like this.
Oh my gosh.
An
Listen, you
amazing, an
can be
amazing moment.
fashionable. You can be fashionable. You can wear whatever you wear, but you gotta own it. You know
You
what I
gotta
mean?
own
If
it.
your shirt flies open, you gotta own. You gotta own
You
that.
gotta own it. You gotta own it.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah, it
That is
was quite
so
a moment.
good. I bet that made the meeting. Like, how do you recover? Like, what do you say in the next meeting? You know?
I mean, what do you there? There's nothing to say.
You go home and
You,
you just like, what,
like, what do you say after that kind of experience? You know?
that would have been great if it was like planned. He's like, and I planned for my shirt
Right.
to open, and on his chest is like tattooed like we're the best company.
But you know what? That crap happens to me all the time. Like I witness that kind of stuff all the time. Like I'm always in situations where like bananas stuff happens. Like I'm talking bananas. Like there is this amazing video that I have recorded that I can't show you guys publicly but I have to show Ella sometime.
Oh, I'm so excited.
This is the moment I left a position from a long time ago where I was like, this is so bananas. Like the situation I was in. I can't
Oh,
even.
I remember. I remember.
Did I tell you about this? There was.
Yeah.
Did I show it to you? There was like
No.
a guest on a live stream. She was screaming. She was free. Like just like there was all this chaos happening. But the funny thing was that right behind her there was a Buddha statue, and she's just, but there's all this chaos going on, and my phone starts ringing, and my Slack starts going off. I was one of the top executives at this company, and everyone is like, "Oh my god, this is going really bad," and everyone is calling, and everyone's freaking out, about what's going. And I'm just sitting there like, "This is the sign I needed."
Man, I love it. You just have to do meetings like that.
Yeah.
Meetings in the entertainment industry, even like a minor entertainment, like where they're putting out content, are so interesting, guys. You have no idea how interesting these meetings are. Like, you will be putting out the coolest show on earth, and then you'll go to their finance meetings, and it's like the most boring. Like, because you think it's gonna be cool, I think, and then you go back there, and they're like, "Okay, here's the numbers," and you sit there, and it's like the most mind-numbing thing. I've been in
Right.
so many production meetings, so many. 90% of them are the most boring, financial, stressful, like, meetings that you will ever be in.
It's funny
And
that
you
you
would
say
like
that.
the coolest show ever, and you're like in this horrible meeting.
It's funny you say that because so many people would say, like, so many people, like, yeah, working at Funimation was a lot of fun, but most of it, a lot of times I'd forget that I was working at a anime company because so much was about the business side of things that
Yeah.
I actually watched the least amount of anime in my life when I was at Funimation, which was crazy.
I watched less animation when I worked for an animation company than I ever did in my life because, well, first of all, I would sit and watch our show like every day. You
Right.
watch each part of it because I was a part of the dailies and stuff, which is like we watch the finished product of the day or whatever. How much somebody got done. And so I would sit there and we would have to nitpick every little piece. If a piece of clothing went through their body or something, you'd have to circle it and blah blah. So I would sit there and watch thousands of frames of animation a day, bit by bit, one frame at a time. And so by the end of the day, I was like, I don't want to watch anything. I think I just want to go home and close my eyes.
Right.
And it is fun. There's really, really fun parts about it. It's super rewarding, but there are parts like that where it's like you don't realize that like you do less of the thing that you're interested in when you're actually doing it.
Right.
I don't know if that makes sense. Like I don't write. I used to write. I do like a lot of writing outside of work. Now I write for work, so I do less writing outside of work. You know what I mean? But it's like good. It's healthy.
I'm glad you're enjoying Liv, that this is making your Friday more tolerable.
Good. So, we got a little off track, but are there any more lore questions before I go back to the...
Oh yeah, sorry, that's my fault.
No, you make things better. You gotta stop
I
apologizing.
try to share some of my moments.
Oh my gosh, I have to tell a story now. A special story. Um, do you guys know who Gary Busey is?
Gary Busey, yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys know who Gary Busey is? So I met Gary Busey. Um, and this is and it's about as wild as you think it would be. Um, so I went to a college called Oklahoma State University, and this story happened so long ago, not so long ago, long enough ago that I feel like I can finally like say it and talk about it.
Yeah.
So, because he doesn't remember me, you know what I mean? Like, this is not. So, Gary Busey, if you don't know who he is, he's a much older man. He used to be a very famous actor and has now sort of become a little bit of people make fun of him a lot because he got in this really horrible accident and his brain is not quite where it used to be. So keep that in mind when I say the things I'm going to say, because I wish him the best. This is a funny story because the things he says are funny. What happened to him is not funny, right? So keep that in mind as I am I'm saying this story. So he's a little bit older, and he says stuff that doesn't make sense. Like, he'll mumble things that they don't have any meaning, and he thinks that they have really prolific meaning, but they don't. Um, so I went to a school called Oklahoma State University, and believe it or not, Gary Busey is an alumni of that school. He went there for like one semester. No, he went there actually, I think, many semesters, and he almost graduated. He missed one class, and so he did not graduate. And the class was like elementary math or something. Like, it was something that he could have just done. Like, I don't know why he didn't just finish it. It was like a really easy course, like one of those electives that you take your first year. Like, apparently he didn't do it. He was like, no, I refuse. And so he did not graduate from Oklahoma State University. But so he was coming back to our school because he was in our theater program at that school for like a couple of semesters, which was kind of cool, right? Oh, he's a famous actor. And so he came to our school to get his honorary degree. They were going to give him his degree for missing that one class or whatever. They were like, we'll just give it to you. Because they do that with famous people. They're like, oh,
Right.
we'll just give you your degree because you're
Right.
famous. So they were doing that for him. Well, so he decided that he wanted to come and do a special talk at our theater department. And so we literally got called out of class from other classes by the theater department to come to this like seminar that he was doing. So we're sitting in this theater, and there's like, I don't know, 50 of us, because it wasn't like a huge theater program. We're sitting there, and there's our stage and all these lights and just a single chair, and a table with some water, like, because he's gonna come speak to us, right? So we're sitting there, and 15 minutes goes past, and then 30 minutes goes past, and then an hour goes past, and we're sitting there like, our teachers are there with us, and we're like, can we go to lunch? And they're like, no, like, you have to stay here. Like, we have to see Gary Busey. And so finally, I think like an hour and a half into this
An hour and a half?
An hour and a half into this wait, and we're sitting there, right? We've been called out of our other classes, like, that we're paying for in college, because we're paying for them, right? This is not high school. This is not like you could just like leave, right?
Right.
We are missing these other classes. So then Gary finally shows up, right? And he comes to the edge of the stage, and we're like, yay, we're kind of clapping for him. He has a coffee mug that's full of coffee, but he's not holding it upright like this. He's holding it like this. So it's like,
what?
It's like barely holding in. He's like holding it like a suitcase, and he's barely holding it upward.
What?
And so he starts walking, right? Obviously, and he's like, so then coffee just goes flying, right? And we're sitting there. He's sloshing it across the stage as he's walking. And we're sitting there, mind you, an hour and a half into this. We kind of like, whatever, it's Gary Busey. We're sitting there and we're all like stunned. We're like looking at each other like, oh my God. He did not acknowledge it. He did not say anything about it.
Did he spill it on anyone, or did he just spill it on the stage?
He spilled it on the stage, kind of on himself. You know what I mean? He walks in there.
Ella, I'm about to lose it.
This is just the first part. This is just him walking out onto the stage.
I can't with it.
So we're all sitting there, right, just mortified because he's not saying anything, right?
Right.
He comes out and he sits. He's kind of like looking at us. He sits down. He has this assistant, right, who's beside him, and he sits down in this chair. And there's lights on him, right? Because there's like, we've kind of dimmed the lights. The lights are on him, and he's like looking around. Then he turns to his assistant, and he swears. I'm not gonna swear, but he turns to his assistant, and he was like, turn these lights off, or I'm not doing this interview. He was like, turn these effing lights off. Like, I'm not gonna. Why are you trying to blind me? And we're sitting there like, huh, you know what I mean? Like, in trouble with Gary Busey, like sitting there like, oh my gosh, like he doesn't. And his assistant is like, well, do you want to, like, his assistant must have been an angel. I mean, an angel. Because his assistant is like, do you want to go down, like, and sit with the kids? You know, like, do you want to go down? And he's like, well, why did you put me up here in the first place with this effing chair and this thing? I want to go talk to them. I'm a mammal of the people. And then he's like,
oh my God. Is he still holding the coffee cup? Is it still like sloshing?
Yeah, he just like put it down beside him. It doesn't. He never drinks out of it. It doesn't matter. Like he just like. He just sets it down. So has nothing to do with this story. So we're sitting there. And we're like, please don't come down here. Like, please don't come down. Like, cause we don't want him close to us. You know what I mean? Because like, we're scared. Like, we're scared he's gonna like hurt us, or like he's gonna like fling out his long arms and like scratch us or something. You know what I mean? Like, we're scared of him. And so he comes down and he's going down the steps, and it takes like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? He's going down these steps, and he's sitting. So now he's sitting in the front row with us. You know what I mean? We've turned all the lights on.
Wait, you're in the dark?
Like, well, we were like kind of, like we're like sitting in the audience. You know how theater stages you can.
Oh, he's talking to the theater lot. Oh, right, okay.
He's in the theater, yeah. And so we are sitting. He comes down and kind of sits awkwardly, like backwards, because chairs in theaters are like mounted to look forward.
Right.
So we're sitting in them, and he comes in, kind of like leans up against a chair that's, because you can't sit in one. And so he's kind of leaning, he's like sitting on it, you know what I mean? Like backwards, and we're like, okay, this is so. And so he starts to tell us, he starts to say things. Don't die, please. Don't die.
All right, go ahead. I swear. I'm sorry, I can't get over the coffee cup on its own. Just that he's carrying this coffee cup that he doesn't even use, spilling like a suitcase.
It was clearly just for like. It was clearly just a like. Hey, you want some coffee? And he's like, oh sure. He doesn't even care. Like he's not gonna drink it.
I'm like sweating right now from this story. Like I can't.
So he comes out to us, and he's coming down, and I won't tell some of the worst parts of the story, which is he had just written a book about Christianity. Now, mind you, I'm in a theater, right? I'm a theater student, and so a lot of the kids we're not Christians, right? And so he starts to indoctrinate us, and we're sitting there,
no.
And we're sitting there, and we're kind of like, okay, you know what I mean? We got called out of class for this, you know what I mean? And so he starts to do his thing, right? He's selling his book. It's totally fine. Well, then he starts to tell us about his past lives.
What?
And he's telling us about how he used to live underwater, and how he used to, and how he knows each of us personally because he used to connect our souls with stars, and how he was a star. He was like a star matcher, and he was like, I know each of you, and all of this stuff. And we're sitting there again, after all of that and being like indoctrinated, and we're just staring at him, right? Like,
Right.
what, like wild eyes, and he's like cursing and kind of muttering at us, and then also being like, he kept doing this thing where he's like doing this thing where he's like telling us acronyms. He's like, love, it doesn't stand for love, it's life over very everything. And we're like, what?
Whoa.
And he kept doing that. He's like, death, you know, don't ever eat, you know, toxic horses. And we're like, what are you saying? We're like, what are you saying? Like, and we would be sitting there like, we were sitting there mortified, you know what I mean? Just like looking at our teachers who are looking at us like, you know, don't say anything wrong, you know what I mean? And so we are like scared to ask him questions and all this stuff, and he's like telling us that he knows us from our past lives, you know, and like staring into our souls with his like his terrible look on his face. And then eventually, it's been like 2 hours, you know, he's just rambling on to us about the craziest things, and we're sitting there and we're like, this can't be real, right? Like, this is, he's telling us that he used to live underwater and to like follow our dreams because we can also join him in heaven one day. And
what? You got to be, you are, what?
We're sitting there and we're like, why did our teachers do this to us, right? And I'm sure they had no idea. I'm sure they had no idea what he was gonna do. I'm sure, like,
it's Gary
like,
Busey.
He's crazy, right? And so we're sitting there, this poor guy, and he's clearly like out of his mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he's saying. And so I'm sure that he doesn't even know. Like, if you told him, he'd probably be like, I never said that, you know. And you're like, of course you didn't.
Right.
Well, finally, it's been like very rambling long 2 hours. We're sweating. We're like on the verge of tears, like holding back, you know, all of this stuff. And his assistant's finally like, okay, sir, like, are you ready to go? And he's like, turns to his assistant, and he's like, when I'm done talking to the kids, I'll be done. I'll say when I'm done, and I'm giving my life to this generation, and like all this stuff. And his assistant's just like, well, how about like we go ahead and say goodbye? And then Gary's like, oh, okay, bye, you know, and it just leaves. And we're sitting there and we're like, that assistant really knows how to
okay
manage them, you know.
This assistant sounds like you and me. Okay, like I was like, that sounds like me and Ella. Like,
No.
I was like, that's her managing me in how she has to manage me and my craziness. Like, it sounds like you and me, I swear.
We were mortified. I have that as my Instagram bio, that Gary Busey told me that he connected my stars to past lives.
I love that.
Because I think that's one of my best stories, because seriously, that was, I worked for a studio at one point where we were making an animated series with him, and we couldn't do it because he was so crazy. Like, you know what I mean? And I say that not in a derogatory way. He's older, you know, he's out of his mind.
Right, he's out of his mind, right.
He's lost it. Like, he's completely lost it. And we would send him scripts to read, and he would send back like a phone recording of him being like, and we'd be like, what? He knows it though. You know what I mean? He knows it. He like he's not nice. He's not a nice guy. That's the stream.
Woo!
I'm glad you like that story. I haven't told that story in a long time.
Woo, that's a good one. You've been saving that for me to break down live. Woo!
I will never forget it. I remember the feeling of the chair underneath my gripping fingers. Like, as I was like gripping the bottom of my chair. Like,
were you having secondhand embarrassment?
I thought I was gonna die. Like, I thought, like I thought it felt like I was on an airplane. Like, you know, and it's turbulence. Like we were going down, dude. We were sitting there looking at each other like, how do we, like, do we say something? Like, he's like in the same sentence, like worshiping the devil and God. Like, what is happening? Like, he was
What
like,
did what did the teacher say after?
they didn't say anything. They were like, go back to class. And that was, they looked at us and they would like raise their eyebrows at us and we would raise our eyebrows back. We didn't want to be like disrespectful, you know, like,
Right.
he's
But it was never discussed again amongst the teachers and stuff.
we would talk about it. We talked about it as students, but the teachers, I think that they were embarrassed to admit that they had not, like.
But I mean, you don't have to be like you don't have to be a professor to know that you're going to invite Gary Busey.
I know.
Just look up Gary Busey. If you guys don't know who he is, look up Gary Busey. Busey. You've seen him before. You know who he is. You may not know his name. And once you see his face, you'll know.
He's my soulmate. I love him. He's connected. He looked me in the eyes and told me that we lived underwater together. And I am. You know, what am I supposed to say? No.
Oh my Lord. This is incredible. I needed this for today.
That took up almost the whole we're at hour 2. We're finishing hour 2 now.
Oh my, are we at, oh my gosh, we're at hour 2. Damn. Mm-hmm. Wow, that was great. Oh, I needed that. That was a great story. That was a great story. I loved that. Oh, Ella, you've been holding that.
I know, I have. I've got some good stories. I went to New York many years over the summer for theater stuff. And New York is the Wild West. And there's some funny stories. There are some good things that have happened in New York that were just horrible in the moment. That are very funny.
There's a lot of great stuff that if you have the right attitude about it, you go, this is really funny. This is a disaster, but I'm gonna be talking about this for years.
Oh, I remember that moment. It was one of those things where afterwards I was like, this is the best day ever. You know what I mean? Because I was like,
so
this
awesome.
Is possibly one of the funniest. I couldn't make it up. Any better. When he came out and he walked out like that and just sloshed the coffee everywhere, and did not even say anything. I think my eyes like grew 3 times the size that they are.
Did any of you think that it was an act? Like that he was doing that on purpose?
No.
So you knew from the very start that it was bananas.
No. He did not acknowledge it. He did not even look down at it.
But like, you didn't think it was like performance art or something?
No. He was dead serious. Everything he said was dead serious. It was with the most profound, like he had discovered something that if only he could tell us. You know what I mean? That's how he spoke to us.
What I love is the coffee cup. I'm still stuck on the coffee cup, but the fact that it was like a, you know, it's almost like a baby carrying around like a
he just
a toy or something.
He was flinging that coffee, flinging it.
Did he never drank from it?
Never drank from it, because then he left it on the table and came down the steps to talk to us.
Oh my Lord! Oh, this was good.
We were frightened. We thought that we were gonna die in this. Like he would summon something from the ground and it would take us all underwater or something. You know
that
what I mean?
Is great.
Like, we would then ascend to the stars. Like
ascend to the star.
He acted like it though. Like he acted like soon, my people, and we were like, we're not your people. Please don't prophesy over us. Like
that is.
You know what I mean?
So wait. So he came to Oklahoma just to do this talk?
Mm-hmm. He came to Oklahoma to get his honorary degree.
Oh, right.
To talk to us, and then he did a bigger talk in front of more people, like whoever wanted to go. But he did a special talk with us, like just the 50 of us.
Yeah.
He had a different talk, but in that one, he had an interviewer who was just asking him questions about his book. You know,
how did that go?
I don't know. Apparently, everybody just was like, "Yeah, he's weird," but nobody knew the stuff that we had. He did not do the same. He did not talk the same talk that he said to us, you know.
Oh my lord.
Because our stuff, he was like, I guess he found a connection with us. He found some friends there because I don't know how he saw that in us with our fearful faces. I think our fear drove him to say more and more wild things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it felt so ridiculous. You would think that it was a joke, but it wasn't. Like he was so serious. He was so serious it was a little scary. Like it was honestly it was I was afraid to be in the same room as him. Like I swear like he was just going to like jump over the seats at us and like yell in our
That's
faces.
nuts.
Like, yeah,
Oh
like
my god, that's nuts.
he was scary. So afterwards we were laughing. In the moment you could have heard the moon rotating around the earth. That's how quiet it was.
Oh my gosh.
With that man like just rambling. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful day.
Well, no wonder you have plenty of experience and at handling me so well. So that is great.
I channel that energy.
That is so funny. Oh my gosh. I love that. Great story. I needed that laugh.
Yeah, I'm glad he didn't attack us either.
It sounds like Liv got a good laugh out of it too. Her neighbors are going to report her.
Yeah.
For sound violations. So, thank you for that, Ella. That was incredible. Much needed. You know what my other favorite thing to draw is? This is kind of bananas too. I love drawing the ear holes.
Ear hole.
The ear hole. The little just shadow for the ear hole. I don't know why. I find it very satisfying.
I think you just like to color. We need to get you like a coloring book. You like to fill things in. You're like, I like this part where I get to fill this part in.
I think I just like filling in the black parts. Oh, you know what? I screwed that up. I should not have done that. Screwed that up. Oh, Jacoby is crying too. Hey, Jordan. Jordan's with us today.
I met Gary Busey and lived. Yeah, seriously. That's like a moist coaster moment for sure.
Moist coaster. It's so funny. It feels like the moist coaster thing was so long ago now.
Yeah, well, it kind of was.
How long ago was that? I don't remember.
It was like 2 months ago.
What?
We're in September now. Yeah.
What?
This is our 5th month. 5th month together.
Oh my word! I didn't know that. Well, I didn't. I mean, I knew that we've been together for, but I didn't know that about. I'm more shocked about the drawing being that.
Yeah, I will look back at our Instagram and I'll be like, oh yeah, I just posted that, and it'll say like 4 weeks ago, and I'm like, oh,
crazy.
Yeah. I've like forgotten our agenda.
Oh, it doesn't matter now.
Nothing will be better. I should
after that experience, agendas don't matter. Mm-hmm. Well, I know that in a bit we're going to be going over some of the fan art, right? So we're going to share some fan art.
Yeah, we can do that whenever you're wherever.
Yeah, let me just do this Marco. Ready. Let me just finish this Marco real quick, and then we can do that.
What's my favorite kind of cake and cookie? Okay, so I struggle a lot with sweet things. I really, really like ice cream and shakes. Those are my favorite. I struggle with anything else that is like super sweet. It like, okay, this is gonna sound really weird. When I eat food, it like travels through my body really weirdly. What? And like I can feel it. Like I can feel it in my like lungs. You know what I mean? Like I feel
really
like it feels like it goes into my like when I drink hot food, it will like feel like it's going down my spine. You know what I mean? So when I
really
eat sweets, yeah. When I eat sweets, it feels like it's like coating my like lungs, and I start to cough. So cake is really difficult for me to eat because of the frosting. Cookies are way better. I love a simple chocolate chip cookie. Love that. Love a simple chocolate chip. I also like no bakes a lot. Those are really great. Cakes are really hard for me. My favorite cake, though, if I'm gonna do a cake, I will do like a citrus cake, like an orange cake. I love orange cakes. Very summery. They're super light and fluffy. Or like a pound cake, like angel food cake. Those are the types of cakes that I like. I don't like if you're like, oh, you like chocolate or vanilla. I'm like, no, I don't like those kind of cakes. At a birthday party, my parents are always like, oh, what do you want? I'm like, I want an orange cake. Orange flavored cake. Not like soda pop, but like the fruit.
Right. Well,
Good question.
since we're talking about weird stuff, my appendix is on the wrong side of my body.
No way.
That's a fact. That's a trivia about Chris. My intestines are actually flipped the other way around.
Why?
Than they're supposed to be. It's called something rotation of whatever, but some people have their whole insides turned around. Like they're literally like my intestines are actually flipped the other way.
So if you're ever in a fight and somebody tries to stab you in the kidney,
well, the kidney is going to be, you got two of them, right? So they're going to be in the same place.
I guess, yeah.
But if they try to stab me in the appendix, they're going to be wrong, So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm otherwise, I think that's what makes me my unique self, is that I have my appendix on the wrong side. Well, so wrong side, not the typical side. How about that?
Not the typical side.
Not the typical.
That really confuses me. And it's just your just your organs?
Not all my organs, just my intestines. They're the mirror image.
How does that happen? I feel like you did something to cause that. Like, not to blame you, but like I feel like you did something.
Biochemistry. I forget what it's called. I have to look it up, but I found out when I was a little kid, because I was having stomach problems, and I wasn't eating, and they did a scan and they discovered that. I'm like, oh, well, your son is a freak, so.
Yeah.
But now we know what he's going to be doing when he grows up. He's going to be making webcomics. My mom started breaking down crying.
Yeah. They knew.
No!
That is so interesting.
Yep.
That is so weird.
Yep. So you guys heard it first. So if you're ever with me and I fall into like what appears to be a appendicitis state, check first which side it is in, because you don't want them to open me up just because, but it's to find out it's on the wrong side. And it was just.
I wonder, do you have to carry around like some people, they have to carry around like medical cards, like, don't open me up because my stuff is on the wrong side.
My medical card, I have do not resuscitate. Just let me go.
Do you really?
No.
Wow.
No, it's a joke. It's a joke. No.
Oh, I was like, Chris, you're too young for.
Yeah, no, I'm just joking. I'm being dramatic.
That's really interesting. Humans are so interesting. We all have these like weird. We're all so different. Like, I can say that to a doctor and they'd probably be like, I've never heard of that before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we're so unique. Like, our bodies and our brains.
It's true, though.
They're so powerful. They're so powerful, and yet they're so susceptible to like hallucination and all of this stuff. Like, the stuff that's happening to my body when I eat sweet stuff is probably not actually happening. It's probably just my brain.
It's all out, exactly. Exactly. But the brain is very powerful, and listen, a lot of people, it's amazing how much human beings waste their brains on stupidity and stupid things. I watched some of some of this like brain rot stuff that people watch, and I'm just like, what is with you guys? I was like all day, like this is all you're doing?
We don't have time to. We don't have time to brain rot.
No, it's like I can take very small doses of that.
You hallucinate without. You're brain rotting anyway.
Ella's so true about that. That is so true. Liv, do I have your seal of approval on Marco? Did I make him handsome enough for you?
Never handsome enough.
Never enough. Never. All the shine of 1,000 spotlights. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I love that movie.
Love that movie.
And that character reminds me a lot of my dad. Not.
Oh, really?
But the main guy, the guy that Hugh plays.
Oh, P.T. Barnum?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. Obviously, P.T.
Speaking of PT, that just reminded me of the little exercise that you and I are going through right now with a major change that we're about to do with.
Oh yeah.
Name. Should we hint that or should we wait?
That's up to you. I think you should do it if you. It's a personal thing, you know.
So since they've been around here for a while with us, I'll give you a little preview. I'm not going to say what it is yet, but so part of the big changes that we're doing is finally, after all these years, I'm going to adopt an artist name. I've never had an artist name, and I just go by my name that no one can pronounce. So, which is not very helpful. And I'm going to, over the next week, we're going to announce what my new like artist name is going to be. And it's something that I should have done a long time ago, but I could never find something that I liked. I'm really close to making a decision. And we're going to be doing, it's a big important change for me personally.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like signifies, it's kind of like where we are with everything that we're doing seriously with Flux Fest. It's like, it's just another like plank, you know, in all the work we're doing. So you guys, I just, you know, it's not going to come out of the blue. I'm going to explain it and talk about it before we do it, but it's hard. It's hard to choose one, and then it's like to choose one and to work like, okay, well, how do you want to be addressed going forward, you know, and things like that. Like Ella and I are having those discussions, and it's not easy. It's not something I want to do like haphazardly either, you know.
Yeah, we want something that really represents who Chris is as an artist, not necessarily his whole life. You know what I mean? There's a really big difference. You know, like my name is Ellen. That's the name that I've sort of chosen. Like, it's been my nickname my whole life, but that's not my full name, right? And so I get to have a lot of like a freedom with that like my whole life isn't tied to something that I'm doing in the moment. So when Chris is making his artist name, it's really important because it's something that signifies this part of him, you know. And so when he can do it, it's kind of like an actor name, you know, or a stage name.
It is, yeah.
You become somebody a little bit different, and you can do the stuff that you're doing, and it helps. It really does.
So super close to making a decision on that. And it's one of those things that it's a hard decision, right? Because once you make it, it's like, that's it. You know, you're not going to see me being like Prince or, you know, any of these other
Snoop Lion
people who like change their name, like, oh, this today I'm this, or next week I'm this. No, it's like if I do it, it's the one.
Mm-hmm. And it's not Chrysler. We're taking that one.
It's not Chrysler. Chrysler is a joke.
Yeah.
That's just for fun. I do not. That name that I have on board is just to be funny. I'm not Chrysler. I have 0 Riz to start with. Actually, I have a lot of Riz, but I have hella Riz.
They're saying that Chrysler should have been your name.
Chrysler, yeah, right. It would have been when I was younger. I probably would have done that if that word existed back then.
Yeah.
But it's one of those words that's like, it's supposed to just be stupid and funny,
Yeah.
Because Riz will be eventually an outdated word, and although I like the sound of it. I like the sound of it. It's a fun word to say, but it's stupid,
Yeah, it is a little. It's past its prime.
It's past it, yeah, exactly. But the cool thing is that I am the only Chrysler on Discord, because when Discord made you choose your names, I got the unique name, because Discord used to let you choose whatever name and they would put a number behind it, and then after that they were forcing you to like select a username. I got Chrysler. So Chrysler is like, I am the Chrysler on Discord.
There were a lot of people gunning for it, but he got in first.
Jacoby, it's funny because Jacoby, for the longest time, he was talking up there about this, no one knowing how to pronounce his name. I didn't know. I've known Jacoby for years, and I've been mispronouncing his name, and he was too polite to tell me. And I didn't know for a long time. I felt terrible. And then I found out how to properly say it.
It's hard when you guys are just text. We're doing our best.
Right.
No, it's not Topher either.
It's not Topher. It's not Topher. Though, here's another, what's it called? Trivia about me. I don't have a middle name. Ella just discovered this, I think, yesterday, when we were having this discussion about artist names. And one of the names, so here's a story. Growing up, so my mom, like I said, is from Cuba, and so when she came to the United States, she didn't know how to speak English. So she was learning, and she wanted to name me, when I was born, she wanted to name me Sean, like Sean. And so that was going to be my name. It was going to be Sean. Well, my mom couldn't, she liked the name, but she couldn't pronounce it. She was having such a difficult time pronouncing it that she couldn't, it just didn't sound right. And she wanted to call me that. Which is funny because there were a lot of there's a lot of Chris's from my age range, and then there's a lot of Sean's too from that time. And anyway, so I ended up not having a middle name, and I was named Christopher because of some soap opera character that she saw, which she's like, oh, there's this handsome soap opera character, and I named you after this soap opera character. And it just hit me yesterday when I was talking to Ella. I was like, that makes so much sense that I'm named after a soap opera character.
It does make a lot of sense. It makes so much sense.
But can you imagine there's an alternate universe where you guys are calling me Sean? Wouldn't that be crazy?
It kind of fits. I think it fits.
Do I look like a Sean? What I go for that?
My full name is Gabrielle. But I have a little bit of a you guys have probably heard it. I have a little bit of a speech impediment that I work really hard to
You
cover
do?
up. Just like a little one. Um, I
Really?
yes, yes. I have a really hard time with certain letters that are next to each other. When I'm acting, it's different because like you really over enunciate. So like it never came up in acting, but it comes up in like my day to day. And so my full name is Gabrielle, but when I was a kid, I couldn't say that. Like I couldn't say my full name, and so my parents always just called me Ella because it's just much easier. And then when I got into school, I started just to call myself that because they'd be like, "What's your name?" And I'd be like, Gabrielle. And they'd be like, "What?" And I like couldn't say my own name, and I was like, if I can't say my own name, I don't
Oh,
want it.
interesting. Well, I would have never known. So whatever you've done or whatever, I had never.
Thank you. Worked very
That's like
hard.
so shocking to me. I would have never known.
I open my mouth very wide to speak because okay, so the Oklahoman accent is very mumbly. If you've ever been to Oklahoma, you'll know that it's very like, oh, I went down, I guess I got that thing, and you're like, whoa, what are you saying? So when I grew up, that was a lot of the way that we spoke. It's very mumbly, way. So I've had to work really hard to
Mm.
both overcome my speech impediment and my Oklahoman accent. Because it's not good. If you can't see your own name, it's very difficult to get around. And I like the name Ella a lot. That's what my parents called
It's
me.
a very
So,
pretty name. And that's what
well,
you
thank you.
want to go for your artist name too, right?
Yeah, I think that when I'm with Chris, I think I'll just drop because you're so respectful. You normally call me my first and last name, but I think that I'll just go by. I'll be like Zendaya. She doesn't have like a last name.
Right.
Um, so I'll just be Ella. Uh, I don't want people digging into my past, looking me up.
Oh,
I'm just kidding.
finding out your connection to Gary Busey.
Yes, I'm his like
Soulmate.
yeah, his soulmate, his like child or something. Yeah. Be like, "You're actually my father?" That whole thing. Can you imagine? What would you think of me if Gary Busey was my dad?
I I would have been actually really impressed with you because of how composed you are and how professional, that I would have said that all of that you went through being his daughter formed you into like the consummate professional you are today. Like Ella is super professional. Like
Well, thank you.
she's very professional. She's like, Chris, I'm like, I know. You should know this. You were a COO for many years. You should be a professional person. How did you get away with this?
Sometimes you'll
Leave
tell
me.
me stuff and I'm like, "What? How did you how did you do that?" You know? But yes, Ruben, I did know that. He's saying that country is technically the closest accent to Shakespeare.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, when I was in college, I took 4 Shakespeare courses. I love Shakespeare. I have a whole section over here on the shelf for Shakespeare. Maybe it's over here. I think it's over on the other side. I have a whole shelf of it. I love Shakespeare.
So in about 5 minutes, I'm gonna take a quick bathroom break, a run back, and then we're gonna do the fan art as we kind of come to. This has gone way fast, so fast
I
today.
told you, yeah. I was like, it's not gonna feel like 3 hours. It's gonna feel way faster than that.
Oh, I forgot to do his earrings. I kind of like. I have yet to fully decide on the size of Marco's earrings. I kind of vacillate between a couple different sizes.
My vote is bigger. That's always my vote. I like when they're bigger.
Bigger than this? What I put on the screen?
Um, yeah. I
Okay.
I like them. I like them bigger because I like to see them.
Yeah.
That's just me though. Like I just like I really enjoy looking at them. I know that the bigger they are, the more powerful. You know.
So how's that?
I don't know. You're gonna have to give me like a full minute.
Because that's kind of how I draw them over here. You can see they're almost half the size. So it would be like in real life, it would be like this. It's like half the size of the ear.
Yeah, I like that. I like them bigger. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe.
No, I do too. I've always drawn them bigger. Sometimes I draw them too big, I feel, but the fact that you like it bigger makes me feel better because I used to just I used to kind of like tone them down. There's this like you don't want to get them to get too big because then they become
Right.
like I don't think you should have like bangles or whatever you call them.
No. I just he in my mind he can do almost as much karmistry as Hugo can.
Oh, he
which
can, yeah.
means which means that he needs those Tauruses to be a little bit, you know what I mean? We're stretching it a little bit.
Yeah,
The
his
suspension.
karmistry is actually very powerful.
Well, just
Hugo
the
has
amount.
the
Not
amount of
not
karma that he can channel.
and to be fair, Marco's karmistry is a little bit different. He doesn't need as much power to do the same
Right.
amount of stuff. So like changing gravity or like changing time or like building a clock bot is very
Right.
different than like animating something, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I like the bigger. I think it makes more of a difference. Like if you're gonna be a karmistry user, I would imagine that you would get the bigger.
Right.
I don't know. It's just thoughts.
No, I don't. That's why at first I thought, oh, maybe they'll think it's too big, and then. So you guys have done some amazing fan art that I cannot wait to share. I loved that stream that we did several months ago about that. That was fun.
Yeah, we're probably gonna do more streams like this where it's just like us hanging out. Um, and so we'll probably start doing our fan art stuff right in here. And just so you know, we're kind of coming up to near the end of our time. If you wanted to join our Patreon or upgrade your Patreon, now's the time. So that Chris can draw you next to Gary Busey.
I need to just draw the coffee cup moment. Like that will live
Yeah.
with me forever. You have given me something that I will treasure forever. I just want you to know
Good.
this. I will treasure that. Okay, there we go. Now he looks better. He's got his earrings. I've been doing a lot of like I use a lot of like hatch marks now too, which I never used before, so I like doing the hatch marks.
I love that. That's one of my favorite styles.
Isn't it fun? Like when you do it right, when it's done right, it looks so cool.
Yes. Gary is canon in Flux Destiny. I feel like he's the only real life human who's gone over into Flux Destiny. He's the same person in both worlds. Like just directly the same. And even he's literally like they're like, "Oh, are you like the Gary Busey in like America?" He's like, "No, I am. That's me. Like I'm the same Gary Busey."
Maybe when he was telling you about his different lives, he was talking about his life in Fortuna.
Yeah, in Fortuna.
All right. Okay, let me All right,
Gosh,
I think
that's so
Marco's
fun.
done. Ella, I'm gonna just run to the restroom right quick. I will let you
Okay.
guys. She will talk to you for a couple minutes. I'll be literally back in 2 seconds, and then we can go to the fun part of the conversation and like look at fan art and stuff
I
like that.
apparently have a bigger bladder than Chris does.
So.
Because I'm chilling. Good question, Ruben. So kind of. You don't necessarily have to have a specific type of Taurus for a specific type of karmistry. The bigger ones hold more power, and there's a certain amount of power that you need to do certain moves. So like for a clockwork person, for example, they often do stuff that's like changing density or changing gravity or something like that. And so they need more karmistry. So like it's not about the power, it's about the amount that they need. So like for Marco to do a very powerful move, he doesn't need as much karma as somebody like Hugo does. Yeah, so it kind of depends. You know, it depends. Marco, most creative users will use smaller Tauruses, like on their ears. There's a couple that use them on like their hips. You know, it just sort of depends. Machine users often have Tauruses as their like rings because they're like very intricate. Um, yes, Jordan, I did see your message. I think on Discord, right? Um, no, creative karmistry doesn't always require two. Marco uses two because he channels them differently. One uses positive karma, the other uses negative. The bigger they are, the easier it is for them to use just both. You know, so Hugo's uses both all the time because it's big enough to hold both of them. Um, Smaller and more quantity is better. No, not necessarily. It just depends on what you want to do. Um, it's the dog. Um, Yeah, most of the big bio people have bigger ones around their necks. It sort of depends on who they are and what your specialty is, you know. Um there's no right or wrong way to do it. There's a typical way that it's done. Most bio people will use it as a necklace or near their heads. Most creatives will use them as earrings. Um Quantum is sort of all over the place. Quantum doesn't have like a typical place that they put stuff. It's not necessarily about the smaller the less the karma that they can hold. It doesn't mean that they're any less powerful. It just means that they're smaller and can hold less. They're kind of like batteries. You know what I mean? You get a battery that can power a flashlight. Well, a bigger battery can still power the same flashlight. It just can do it for longer. Right? Does that make sense? So, it's not necessarily that one is better than the other. It's just that they can carry different things. And he left
Okay.
again. He's gone. Oh, there he is.
Sorry, had to get some more lemon water. So, oh,
Your
you could
dog
hear
was
my
really
dog.
annoying.
Did
Yeah.
you guys hear my? I'm sorry. I should
Yeah.
have muted the thing. He was
No,
having a
good.
little
You
moment.
can hear the music now.
I'm sorry. All right. I will. This page will be done today, and it will go up and on Patreon. So look forward to getting this one up. Okay, so we're gonna look at fan art now. So let me switch for a second to regular view, Ella, you and me, while I figure out how to get this thing set up. Big view. Where is it? Oh, here we go. My, my, I need to start mewing. Okay. All right.
You're like
What?
you just you see, you don't have like a filter. I don't think. I think it's
No,
just straight.
I
You
don't.
like your eyes see and your words say. You know.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna switch this. There we go. Okay, a little bigger so you guys see.
And again, this is not all of the fan art that we have. This is just some of it from the past couple of days. This is not like a big showcase. This is just like a very tiny one.
So here's some that we've got. Well, Ella, this is this kind of is fan art. The one on the right, I didn't see it. We were rushing this morning. I actually drew that sketch of Hugo, and then someone
No,
else
I know,
colored
but
it.
yeah, that's part of fan art.
Yeah, I guess so. You're right. And this here we got Liv giving Marco the love he deserves. Hey, Monk, look who's jumped in today. You know, I think today is the next Flux Fantasy session on Monk's channel. And what time is that at? Ella, do you remember? Did you ever get to find out?
He sent it
I
to
think
us.
I think he sent it to us. Anyways, that's gonna be fun. Okay, so this one now, who did this one? I don't remember
Yeah, the
seeing this one.
7 Central.
7 Central.
So make sure we're gonna be there. So make sure that you're there to check out his new Flux Fantasy video.
Got some awesome ones from Liv. We've got what do you call? Oh, another uh, Boofy and Kazuo. That one's really sweet.
Yeah.
That's a really cute one. This one was great too. Who did this one over here at the bottom?
The bottom left one?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Let me look. I think I was just grabbing and ripping out of the fan art channel.
Because some of these I miss when I'm not in Discord. I miss some of these.
It was during like drawing, like right after one of our like learn to draw streams.
So here we've got some Liv moments. This is playing off the webcomic. What's going on right now? This is great. I loved this Hugo football one. This one made me laugh. So
yeah,
funny.
it's a good tease for the webcomics if you haven't been keeping up.
I thought this was super cute and pretty funny. Like, this is exactly how he would react to the situation. This was a great one.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because I was going to do a football one, and she beat me to it. And I was like, I can't beat that one. That one's already cute.
Yeah, it's very funny. Very cute.
Oh, I didn't see this wolf one down here.
It's new. It's like from a couple days ago.
Yeah, I didn't see that one. These were great too. I love how Artie did Hugo's hair in this one. So big. That's how it's just like so a lot to deal with. This was funny. This little comic by Drew was really funny.
Yeah.
Hey, Flick.
So sweet.
Yeah, wasn't that great? The football one is really great. That's like one of my favorites that came in. It's just really fun. And that's all of them that Ella's got here in our showcase.
It's a small showcase. I didn't want it to take up too much of our live stream in time, but I just wanted to do a quick little thing at the end to celebrate our first sort of longer live together, and through this.
This is how I thought I was gonna feel after the live stream, because I hadn't done such a long one. I thought it was gonna be like this.
And it wasn't. It was nice. Hopefully we had some good times.
Mildred said Hugo trying out for linebacker for the first and last time.
Yeah. He's not. I don't imagine him being good in any position.
Yeah, I think if it's not chemistry powered, I don't think. If he had to just rely on his own like physical strength, it just wouldn't it wouldn't work. So that was great. So
That's
that was
so
all those. Ella, I'm just gonna kind of wrapping this up here. Was there anything else that you wanted to that we had on our agenda?
No, that's it. We're so very thankful for you guys, and we're thankful for all of your fan art and stuff. Um, so keep sending it to us, and we'll keep showcasing it in different spots. I'm sorry, I know that you guys sometimes we miss stuff, in the chat or in Discord. Um, you know, we try to get to everything that we see. So if we've missed something, we're sorry. We're just two people, and we have a lot of work all the time to do to try to get some cool stuff out for you guys. So sorry if we don't see stuff as soon as you want it. But
Here, I'll show one more. Liv sent me one. I'm seeing it now. Here. Mildred is saying that Hugo would be fine as a kicker because kickers are weird.
that is true. I guess he'd be a good kicker.
That's so funny.
But not like a field goal kicker, like just the punter.
See,
Not
but
that
what I
bad.
love about that, what I love about that is that Mildred has made sure that Hugo has a place on his team. Like if Mildred was the coach, like
Yeah.
you wouldn't be like, okay, you like, noodly boy, like you're gonna be we have a place for you.
Yeah, Chris and I would clearly kick him off the team. Whatever.
And then we have this one last one that Liv did here. Good morning, pineapple. Looking very nice. Looking very good, very nice. Good morning, pineapple. What is this from? Is this a song? Is this from what? What is this?
This is you hallucinating.
This is me hallucinating. That's right. That's funny. That's very funny, Liv. Very funny. She draws so fast now. This one that Snaps did. Did you see the one that Snaps did?
Yes,
yesterday?
I retweeted it.
What's that?
I retweeted it.
Oh, here, I can paste it here so you guys can see it if you haven't seen it already. If I can find it. Yeah, Snaps surprised me with that. That was really awesome.
That was really cool.
Here we go. And then he put... It's funny how the characters have, like, their own... Like, he kind of featured Hugo with other characters from Dioro, from... Gabriele is not on right now, but this is his character. This is Kaiba, who's Nox's character, and then we've got Hugo here, who I caught him wearing these Crocs, and I was like, of course you would put him in Crocs. I was like, but I love Snaps' style. Snaps is just has such a cool style, and he did a, he did the Beginner's Guide to Karmistry book for me. And I always loved his style. So this was a cool little surprise for me yesterday. So if you want to see the whole thing, just go to Twitter and you can see on the Flux Destiny Twitter. Well, Ella, I mean, this has been a lot of fun. This has been a nice.
This has been a lot of fun.
We had some good laughs. The time went by like crazy.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do more of these because we've got we're drawing and working anyway, so we're going to do more of these kind of sessions like this and have more fun during the week. I hope that... I saw that, Mal. I saw the shirt that Hugo's wearing. Yes, that was very funny. And very, very, very Snaps. Very Snaps. The funny thing about Snaps is when he was doing a lot of Flux Destiny art for me for a while, and he would always hide things in the layers of Photoshop. He would put things in there that were like funny or crude or whatever, and he would always put them in there. And to this day, I still find stuff that he's hidden in there just to be funny and just to be, himself. So
I really like that. I think that's really cute.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I hope you have a great Friday. Remember Monk's stream tonight at 7 Central.
And
Um,
we've got another guy to shout out too. We did an interview with a guy named Chris. He goes by Robo Dad. He did an interview with us for Flux Fantasy. I don't know if it's up yet or not, but we'll be sending you the link very soon. Please, please, please go watch it, go like it, go subscribe to his channel. The same with, you know, with Monk's stuff too. You know, we love his stuff. We go subscribe to him. So make sure that you're there tonight for Monk's stuff, and make sure when we send that link over to Robo Dad's stuff that you're going to watch it, because it's a very good interview, and we're so excited that we got to do that with him. So
yeah.
we're getting out there. We're making new friends.
And if you haven't already, if you're not already part of our Patreon, you can check out the link below. You get all sorts of awesome benefits, especially Flux Fantasy benefits. If you like the TTRPGs, if you sign up certain tiers, you get the core rulebook for free if you sign up. So if you haven't already, go check that out. And we will see you on the next stream. So thanks a lot, guys. Have a good Friday. Bye.